Welcome back to the channel to another WNBA video into Game 1 of the WNBA Finals. It's going to be tipping off Thursday, October 10th at 8 p.m. We got the Minnesota Lynx taking on the New York Liberty. Man, we got a great series in store for us with this one. I can't wait. So I'm going to dive into Game 1 just like we always do. We'll talk about which way that I'm leaning as far as the points and the spread. We'll also talk about any player props that I found for that game that I like, and then any picks that I put in officially myself. I'm going to list right down there in that pinned comment. So make sure you check back in. That way you can see if you'd like to ride along with me. But before we dive into Game 1, we got to go over what we took for Game 5 between the Sun and the Lynx and how that all ended up going down. Man, it's gone down better. This was by far the worst night that I've had so far in this postseason run. It's been a good postseason run so far. Not with this night, man. Ended up taking the same game parlay. For the full game, took a total alternate of under 154.5. And we also took an alternate for the Sun with the points. Had the Sun catching 6.5. Neither one of those cash. So we do not hit on that parlay. And then I took Alyssa Thomas over 32.5 points plus rebounds and assists. And she comes out and kind of closed up like a clamshell, man. She didn't do nothing in this one. So we do not cash on that one as well. Faded Courtney Williams, man, on her rebounds and assists. Took the under 9.5. She smashed that line. So we don't cash on that one either. And we took Dejanay Carrington over 12.5 points. She's got 0 at halftime. I'm like, man, I'm about to get that reverse sweep. Luckily, she comes out firing in the second half. Kind of gave me a little bit of hope for a minute that, hey, maybe that parlay is going to hit too. Nah, but we do end up cashing on that. So we go 1-3. Not a total loss on the night, but we do end up losing a little bit unit-wise, just over 2 units. But we are still sitting up over 5 units on this postseason run here. So nothing to complain about, man. You know, gonna have good nights, gonna have bad nights. Fortunately, we've had more good nights than bad nights so far in the postseason. So hopefully we can keep that trend going through these WNBA finals and close this WNBA season out with a bang. So, let's not waste any more time, guys. Make sure you smash that like button down below for me, and make sure you hit subscribe if you haven't already. Now, let's dive into it. We have, like I said, the Lynx taking on the Liberty. Liberty are 6.5 point favorites for this one, and the over-under is sitting at 159.5. So we're finally here, like I said, the WNBA Finals, and for the first time since 2021, we will have a new champion. The Aces were back-to-back champions. Liberty knocked them out. Now, Lynx, they're back in the finals for the first time since 2017 when they won it all, and that was their 4th chip in 6 years at that time. They had a 30-10 season that saw them finish in 2nd place. The Liberty are back in the finals for the 2nd straight year. Their 6th trip overall, but they are looking for their very first chip in franchise history. They finished this season out first in the W. Obviously came in on a mission, man. 32-8. They didn't lose any games back-to-back for the entirety of the season and into this postseason as well. So it's been clear as day, man, that they are looking to avenge that WNBA Finals loss. And look, man, like I said, they've entered the finals now. This is their 6th trip. 0-5 so far. So definitely know that they're coming in hungry and they're ready, right? Now, these teams, they've met 4 times on the year, including the Commissioner's Cup. The Lynx won that one, and 3 of the 4 matches overall this season, twice in New York. And the thing is, man, they did so rather convincingly, right? Winning by an average margin of victory of just over 10 points per game. And New York was favored in each of those games, right? And the Lynx took those 3 wins outright as dogs. So impressive stuff from Minnesota, man. They've definitely had some luck against New York so far this year. These two, they most recently met in mid-September. It was a 9-point Minnesota win in New York. And the Lynx did what they've been able to do so often this year. They shot the lights out while playing Sailor D on the other end. 53% shooting overall, 50% from deep, while holding New York to just 39% shooting from the field, 28% from 3. Liberty, man, they've dominated the glass this year, but against the Lynx, they split, winning the battle on the glass just twice in the 4 games that they played. Look, these two, man, they match up extremely well, but the Lynx statistically held a slight edge defensively, while the Liberty held a slight edge on the offensive end. Both teams finished in the top 4 for both offensive and defensive rating, and the only teams in the WNBA to do so this year. It's hard to find an edge for either team, as they both share the ball extremely well. They're both extremely efficient with the ball as well. Minnesota ranked 3rd in terms of assist to turnover ratio. New York 2nd. New York was 2nd for assists per game. Minnesota 1st. They are two of the best shooting teams from the perimeter as well, with the Liberty making the most threes per game and the Lynx converting from deep at the highest percentage. But, once again, neither of these defenses are to be overlooked, and that includes perimeter defense, as the Liberty allowed the third lowest shooting percentage from three, while the Lynx allowed the lowest. Both teams, they also boast a ton of depth, and each run deep into their 9-player rotations, man. They got 9 players averaging, I think, in double digits as far as minutes per game, on both sides, 9 players. So deep rotations, and usually these rotations, they shorten up in the postseason, right? This is one area where the WNBA definitely mimics the NBA. Usually it's shorter rotations in these playoff runs. Both these teams are deep, man. Like I said, you got 9 players on each side averaging double digits in minutes. Look, the one edge that I can find for New York is their size. Right, that's where I'm seeing just like a little bit of an edge for them, right? Not only do they have a 6'4" former MVP in Breanna Stewart, they roll out at center the 6'6" and also former MVP Jonquel Jones. Stewart dropped 38 when these two met too in that last game that they played in mid-September. The rest of that New York squad only managed 41 points. So you figure, man, if she could get just a little more help, maybe New York pulls that one out. Maybe we're coming into this with a little bit of a different scope, man. Maybe, then it's tied 2-2 for the season series. In that one too, it was a game of runs, man. New York, they lost the first quarter by 13. They lost the third quarter by 11, and then they put it on the Lynx in the fourth quarter, 29-14. But the hole that was dug already was too deep to overcome. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's like I said, man. If Stewie can get just a little more help in that game, I think we're coming into this one with just a little bit of a different perspective. You also got to look at 24-year-old rookie Liani Fibic. She also stands at 6'4", and then she was moved into the starting court in place of veteran Courtney Vandersloot. Fibic's height, along with the play that we've seen from Sabrina Ionescu through the postseason, it could definitely create a ton of trouble for this Minnesota backcourt. And they're a great defense as well, right? Like I said, Minnesota as a whole, their backcourt defense it's nothing. It's not shabby at all. It's nothing to laugh at, right? But you got Sabrina Ionescu back there playing like the best guard in the W right now. And like I said, you just moved this 6'4" rookie who can shoot the ball to the starting backcourt alongside her. Man, it's a mismatch nightmare, in my opinion, for a lot of teams. And I think Minnesota, it's going to be the same thing. So, I like Minnesota to keep this series close. I do. And I could even see them grabbing a dub in New York in this series, right? I can see them getting one on the road. I don't think that comes in game one. New York will have the rest advantage. And they also just knocked off in 4 games the team that beat them in the finals last year and have home court advantage, the focus, and the hunger to take care of business in this opening game. And we know they're not going to take this Minnesota team lightly, for one. And, they want nothing more than to win their first chip, obviously, but to do so over the team that beat them in the Commissioner Cup, that beat them 3 out of the 4 times they met this year, that just beat them in the last time that they met, I think that makes it all that much more sweeter, right? So I do think that New York comes out here and wants to make a statement. With that said, too, I'm not sure how I feel about that 6.5 point line, man. I do think New York wins this one, like I said. I think they do it comfortably at that, but it's scary laying that many points with them against a team that has had their numbers so far this season. But with all things considered, everything we've discussed so far, that's the direction I'm leaning. I am leaning towards the Liberty laying those 6.5 points, but it is scary as hell. So make sure you check that pinned comment. Let's see if I end up rolling with this one. Maybe I take a money line and parlay it with the total. It could be a possibility. Like I said, I do believe that the Liberty win this one. Maybe I even just like buy a few more points, man, and just take the Liberty laying 3.5, 4.5. Gotta think on it more, man. I'm not quite there yet, but like I said, make sure you check that pinned comment to see where we end up landing on that one. But long story short, I am leaning New York with those 6.5 points, laying those 6.5 points. For the total, the Lynx have gone over this number in 3 straight games, and they've hit the over in 7 of their last 10. The Liberty have only hit the over in 5 of their last 10, but they've hit over this number in 4 of their last 5. Look at the last series, man. Minnesota, they struggled at times stopping that Connecticut offense, right? we saw the Sun put some points up on them, and really like outside of Marina Mabrey, there's not a lot of outside shooting on that team. Dewana Bonner can heat up. DeJounte Carrington can heat up, but as far as like perimeter shooting, there's not quite that much with this Connecticut team. And we still, like I said, we saw Minnesota struggle at times to stop this offense. We saw them look elite at other times, right? But there was some inconsistencies with that defense. And we've seen some inconsistencies with the New York Liberty defense as well. We have to take into consideration, though, like I said, man, this isn't the Connecticut offense that we're seeing. This isn't the Sun. This is the New York Liberty offense, one of the best ones in the league. And they come into this finals rolling. So I'm going to lean over for this one. Same thing with the spread, man. I'm not 100% that I get there. So like I said, make sure you check that pinned comment down below. But I definitely feel like I like the over in this one more than I like the sides. I definitely feel like I'm leaning heavily towards the over. I'm leaning towards Liberty 6.5 points. I wouldn't say I'm heavily leaning there. So yeah, for the 1,000th time, I think I've said it a bunch. Make sure you check the pinned comment, man, to see where I end up landing on this one. Go ahead and pin comment down below since I've said that about 1 billion times already. Let's go ahead and dive into some player props before we get out of here today. Now we're going to jump over here to Outlier to do so, guys. I'm looking at Napheesa Collier of the Minnesota Lynx. Looking at her first quarter points under 7.5. Now, before we dive into this, guys, I did want to mention, make sure you check down in that description and also in the pinned comment. You'll find a link for Outlier if you are not signed up with Outlier yet. Make sure you check that out because you'll be able to get a free 7-day trial. And then after that, you can decide if you'd like to keep it for yourself. Now, I know for a fact, man, that Outlier has helped me out a ton. It definitely has helped me become a much better. Shout out to Kenny, man. I did that one for you. I had switched it up, man. I have been saying that it's made me a much more efficient, better, which it has, but it's also made me a much better indeed. And that always cracks me up when I say it. And I'm glad that somebody else found some humor in that one as well. But anyways, let's dive into this, guys. You're gonna get to see firsthand what Outlier is all about here. We're gonna use it for these player props that we're getting into. So, like I said, Napheesa Collier of the Lynx, first quarter points, looking at her under 7.5. So we can find this over here on FanDuel at -136. Now, that's another great thing about Outlier, guys. Now, this prop is only available on FanDuel, but if it was available anywhere else, DraftKings, BetMGM, Bet365, it's going to be listed right here in this column, right? And it's going to tell us, it's going to be listed in order of a price over here, man, by the odds. And whoever has the best odds is going to be sitting up here at the top and then in order on its way down, right? So we'll be able to go over here to this Add My Picks section. And like I said, if it was available on more sports books, then we would know where we can find the best odds at and throw our money on there so we can get the highest profit. But let's go ahead and dive into it, guys. We look down here at her head-to-head against this Liberty team, and they have held her under this 7.5-point mark in the first quarter 5 of the last 6 times, 5 straight times in a row, actually, every time that they have met this season. So we like that there. If we look over here, the Liberty for their points defense, now it is about middle of the pack, sitting at about 5th, okay? But let's look at this insight over here from Outlier. This all these insights from Outlier are basically just kind of like a trend, right? And then everything down below here starts getting filtered to that specific trend. And another great thing about Outlier, man, they make it really easy with these color-coded graphs, right? Green is good and red is bad. So the more green we see, the happier we are looking at this prop. So this one here, man, says that she failed to exceed this 7.5 first quarter point mark in 12 of her last 15 games when playing against top 5 defenses for points allowed. That's where they sit, right? 5th for forwards. Overall, they are 3rd for points allowed, Like I said, this is not a shabby New York Liberty defense by any means. So we see a lot of green down here, and that's definitely what we like to see in that one. If we look at her in her last 5, she has hit that at a 60% rate. So we like that as well. She did have those games against the Sun where she just started off hot, right? Definitely started off hot. But I do like the way that New York matches up with her. And they have held her. If we can come up here and look at her points, right? All right, so the points is set right now at 21.5. Let's go ahead and look at the under for that. Now, let's look at her head-to-head against the Liberty. All green, right? New York has played Fee pretty solid this season. So I like her. You could even take a look at this here, man. You look at her points under 21.5. Now, it's a little juice at -120. But it's a better price than what we're, actually, okay, so that's for underdog there, which, I did see somebody comment down below I'm not sure how underdog in Prize Picks works exactly, guys. I don't have that available in Ohio, so I'm not able to use it. And I have noticed that every time I see it available as a prop on Outlier, underdog's always listed at -120. Prize Picks is always listed at -119. Somebody was saying down below that when you combine that -119 with another -119, then it adds up to a different kind of hot. I don't know. I'm kind of confused by it. Yeah, I thought that each prop had their own odds, and then you build a parlay off of that, and that's what Prize Picks and Underdog was. So, if you guys want to throw some comments down there to help each other out, feel free, man. Like I said, I'm not hip to it at all because it's not available in Ohio, so I'm not exactly sure. But anyways, let's we're getting a little off topic here. If we're looking at her under on her points at 21.5, it is sitting at -130, which is juice. But this under for her first quarter points is also juiced at -136. So either way we cut it, if we're looking at an under for fee, you're gonna pay a little bit of a price, right? But the odds are still there, the money is still there. It's still a profit end of the day. So definitely worth a look in my opinion. And like I said, if we look at this here, look at that under head to head against Liberty, they have played her pretty well this season. And then even dating back into last year as well. So I definitely like this. I don't mind looking at her points just for the full game on the under as well, but she has been so damn hot, right? That one feels a little more scary to me. But looking at this first quarter points, you know, I like that a lot. It's hard to score 8 points in the first quarter, man. They got that up pretty high, and like I said, she has been hot, so I understand why it's that high. But she is also going up against this New York Liberty defense for all the marbles here in the WNBA Finals in Game 1. So I definitely like this one a lot, and I could see this ending up in the pinned comment for sure. And I'm looking at Benaje Laney Hamilton of the Liberty, looking at her under 10.5 points and assists. Now we can catch this one on FanDuel right now at -122. It's also available on Underdog. If we look at her in her last 5 games, 100% hit rate. We love to see that green down there, guys. That's a beautiful sight right there. And if we look at the Lynx for their points and assists defense, when it comes to points allowed and assists allowed for forwards specifically, they're sitting at second for points, third for assists. So just more green. That's what we love to see. Now let's look at this insight from Outlier. Now we can see that she has failed to hit this mark in 5 straight games when it comes to defenses that sit in the top 5 for assists allowed. So just another mark in our favor there. And we can look at her in her last 10 games, just push it back a little bit further, see how consistently she has been hitting this. 70% rate, 7 of her last 10 games, she has gone under this mark. So, Benaje Laney Hamilton, points and assist under 10.5. You can get that on FanDuel at -122. Now, guys, that's going to wrap it up here for Game 1. I hope you guys enjoyed the content. I hope you found it helpful and useful. And if you did, please do not forget to smash the like button down below. And please don't forget to subscribe if you have not already, so you don't miss out on any of the content that we are dropping over here daily. Best of luck to everybody. Have a great night, and I will see you on the next one.